And now the next Gatha is entitled Breathing and Meditation. Why is breath called prana by the Hindus? It is because it brings on the surface the essence from within. It is a current which is running from the outer spheres to the inner spirit. What it brings from the outer spheres to the inner spirit is not nearly so great as that which it brings from the inner spheres of life. This being the condition, breath is vitalizing. Naturally, therefore, the breath of a person in sound health must give health to another in that person's presence. The breath of a mastermind must vitalize the thought of another, and the breath of a spiritual person must illuminate those in his or her presence. By breath, a spiritually developed person can impart physical energy, thought power, and spiritual influence to others with whom that person may be in contact. It is natural, no doubt, that if the one who wishes to impart has not sufficient power to impart, that person becomes broken if there is a greater demand on that person's power and if there is little left within. Sufis therefore consider breathing connected with meditation much more important than anything else in the world, their food, sleep, or comfort. So, Moshe reminds us here that there's a constant give and take through the breath. Through the breath we draw in impressions from the world around us. The outer world is internalized, energy from others and sights and sounds. All of this is internalized, drawn in through eyes and ears, drawn in through the synapses of the brain and through the subtle architecture of the mind into the heart, and from the heart into the soul. The breath is a current through which the external is internalized and drawn back into the eternal life, drawn into the infinite. But at the same time, the breath is an exhalation whereby what is within, what is in the divine eternity, is breathed into the soul, and what is in the soul is infused into the heart. The heart is infused into the mind into the body, and projected, emanated out through our senses, through our presence, and each of us thereby imbues and saturates our atmosphere. We're like overlapping spheres intersecting in this space and altogether creating this environment, all billowing forth from the unseen and unknown, from the eternal, but mediated by soul, heart, mind, and body. And to the extent that body, mind, heart, and soul are mutually disconnected and obscured by opacity, then the movement of the breath is limited. Only a trickle moves through. But when the body is fully embedded in the mind, when the mind is fully embedded in the heart fully embedded in the soul, and the soul fully embedded in God, the breath is a direct channel between the essence and the manifestation. And we experience that on the exhalation when we attune to the forthcomingness of the divine emanations working through all instruments. And then on the inhalation when we indraw the whole universe and lift it up and offer it back to the divine oneness. And Murshid reminds us in this Gatha that insofar as one taps into the wellspring of breath, insofar as one is drawing nourishment from the source of breath, then one can give vitality to others, because others are always tapping into our energy to some extent. And one could easily become exhausted if one lacked this wellspring, this access to the source of breath. So Murshid reminds us, therefore, for a mystic, even more important than nourishing food and refreshing sleep is tapping into the source of breath and drawing new breath from that source.